This is a very, very special one. It is our 100th episode. Never thought we'd make it here. Super awesome. Huge shout out to our team and our guests, and of course our viewers. But man, our guests, you're going to find some three awesome ones today. But we've had amazing guests. 100 episodes, that's 300 guests that have come through and shared advice and tips for the world. If this is your first time, let's go over it. Millionaires Are Made is a show where we believe you can be a millionaire in all 6 aspects of health. We share tips every day, every week to improve your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your intellectual health, financial health, and today, most importantly today, our social health. Today's goal is we're going to focus on how to improve your social health with poetry. It's going to be exciting to hear. If you've never seen an episode of Millionaires Are Made, well, you got 99 other ones to check out. But this is the show built on the fundamental belief that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. In the spirit of authenticity, I don't talk to any of our guests about their tips before the show. We want it to be as real and remove as much bias so that their own walk of life, their own tip, and their own advice comes from them. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great, and this is going to be an interesting show. It is our 100th show, 100 episodes, so we have a cake made for us. I don't know how well you can see it. And we asked our audience what they wanted to see on our 100th episode, and me in a crazy outfit, as you can see. And apparently I have to eat that entire cake by the end of this episode. So you will see me munching on the back, in the background or foreground or wherever. Please don't be offended, but apparently that's the rule of our team, of our audience. Speaking of audience, I do want to shout out, this is a very, very engaging show. You are welcome to comment, like, ask questions, do all that stuff. We will ask it on live. We'll put our guests there, ask them live questions from the audience. So please bring all those questions and all those comments. And I want to do a huge shout out to some of our followers. On Facebook, Jasmine Soto, thank you so much for following us. Huge kudos to you. Instagram, we got Lisa. TikTok, Graham Norris. And on YouTube, Kim Green. Thank you all so much for following us. If you want to be a guest on our show, we're always looking for new ones. And I know that you have something that you want to share. You have some expertise or advice. Please, please, please sign up below. The link's being dropped right now. It's simple. It's easy. We make it as quick and easy as you can to be a guest, and just share a little bit of info for the whole world to grow. If you're running through your life right now and you hit yourself a little bit of a roadblock, maybe you're spiritually lost, maybe financially, I think that's a very common one right now. Maybe it's your mental health, or maybe you just can't find the right friends or the right friend group and your social health isn't working, which hopefully we can help today. But if you're working on something and you got a topic that you cannot get past, send it to us. Send it to us anyways. We will go out and find 3 awesome guests that will give you 3 sweet tips and hopefully get you through whatever's holding you back and get you back on your growth path for life. Speaking of growth paths, I love helping people grow. I spend all my life learning from experts all around the world, and I do love to give back. So if you want a free one-on-one growth consultation, let me know. We're dropping the link right now. I'd love to talk one-on-one with you and help you through whatever you're working on. And if I can't help you, I know hundreds of other people that can. Hopefully that wasn't too much, but we got a little more before I start eating cake and crying. Anyways, our sponsors today, this episode, 100th episode, is brought to you by InstaFarm. InstaFarm is an amazing, awesome home grow kit. It's self-sufficient. You water it once a week and you get microgreens grown within 7 days. It's amazing. Our next sponsor is Karmaceuticals. If you are in the Denver or Colorado location, definitely go check out Karmaceuticals for the best cannabis. Been around for 15 years. They are amazing. And our next sponsor is Earth's Best Deals. So if you like deals in your local city, go check out earthsbestdeals.com. They will help you out a lot, saving and helping build local businesses and promote the local companies and save you some money. We've also got Craig Satkovsky. He's a human behaviorist and mentor who helps entrepreneurs discover their true identity, purpose, and achieve growth in business and life. Go check out his link. Next up, we have Sarah Jones. Sarah helps people master their personal and business finances to build stable foundations, and she travels the U.S. full-time in her RV with her husband. Super awesome. We also are sponsored this episode by Island Trail Adventures with Gali Prat. What an awesome, awesome company. If you are ever in the Caribbean and you want to go get a guided hike through a scenic trail, blending stunning landscapes, rich history, and nature, you'll get an unforgettable journey with Island Trail Adventures. And we've got Ross Alexander, who is a coach and a former athlete and inspires others through public speaking, sharing strategies for coping, achieving goals, and finding purpose in life. And that's it for our sponsors. For now, we are going to bring out our first guest, who is an amazing woman named Misty, as soon as we can. We're going to talk to her in just a second. Awesome. Misty, tell us who you
Hey, how
are.
are you, Austin?
Oh,
My name is
I'm not going
Misty
to eat
W.
the cake
Gilbert.
until you start talking. I'll eat the cake
You're
in a
not?
second.
I thought you wanted to start with a piece of cake.
I don't want to eat the cake at all. I'm gonna sneak it. I'm gonna keep it on camera though, so you know that I'm actually eating it. Apparently, that was an important part of it. This is so
Yes.
stupid. Okay,
It's
Misty.
not.
Well,
You're
who are you?
celebrating the day. My name is Misty W. Gilbert. I am a writer, speaker, and coach. And I did a TEDx talk January 2019, The Art of Authenticity, How to Show the Real You. I discuss
Ooh,
the 4 steps to being authentic, which are being open, real, raw, and vulnerable. I'm a published author. I own 3 businesses and am a self-made millionaire. So
hell
I'm very
yeah!
passionate. Yeah, I'm very passionate about creating the life that you want, living intentionally. I believe that if more of us were who we really are and lived our lives without a mask, we would have less stress, we would have more connected relationships, and I think we would also heal more the mind body connection issues with mental illness and the disconnection and aloneness that most people feel.
Okay, disconnection and aloneness. Wow, we might talk about that a little bit today. Let me ask you this very important question before I get back to my cake. If I wanted to improve my social health with poetry, what simple piece of advice would you give me?
I would say that the key to connecting emotionally to poetry is by sitting with the emotions that you're feeling and finding the words to share them in a pattern that conveys your heart and your mind and your soul and your body. Most often, when people think of poetry, they don't think of it as from an emotional standpoint, using expressive words that connect to the emotions that you feel, but there's power in our words, and our words create the life that we experience. So by sharing the emotion in a poetic format, we're actually being able to expose a inward view to our heart and the thoughts and feelings that are driving us.
Awesome. Okay, great. So, poetry should be one way to share your authentic self, huh?
Yeah, so in other words, take the emotion and be open, real, raw, and vulnerable about it. Don't choose just words that you think possibly somebody would like to accept you
Okay.
into their space, but actually a raw version, an open, a real, a raw version, transparent about what you're feeling inside. That's part of any connection that we have through words, speech, time spent together is done through connection, and connection is the vulnerable space is through our emotion is what actually draws us together, and the words that we use to describe that emotion is what's going to create the connection.
Cool. Okay. I got it. All right. Tell me this. Where on your life journey did you learn this info? When did you become so authentic?
Well, in my TEDx talk I share part of my story,
Go
how I
ahead.
hid many years, living particularly from a religious upbringing and the treatment of my parents over a situation where I was raped at 17 and they didn't believe me. So I lived
Oh,
hiding and wearing a mask about who I really was, and not authentic into my marital status, into the emotion that I was feeling inside, the abuse that I went through in my childhood. And life circumstances caused me to face that trauma in 2013 And through a process of counseling and working with coaches, I started facing the inner pain inside of me. I started learning that in order for me to move past these experiences, I had to own them and I had to talk about them, even if my me to share about what went on in my childhood. So
Oh
that
man, that's
scary thing of actually facing my fear and vulnerably being transparent and talking about things what most people would not feel comfortable talking about. For example, my mother burned my brother's feet with matches 3 different times. The level of abuse I'm not talking about is simple. But when you live in fear of your own life, because my mother told me if I ever shared that information, I would be killed. I lived with repressed emotion, afraid to be me.
Jesus.
And so what I put on towards everybody else around me was that I was happy and I loved my life, but inside I was miserable and I was hurting. And I discovered poetry in 2016 through these
Okay.
processes that I went through when I went through a phase of being depressed after a relationship breakup. And I wasn't sleeping at night. I was getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep and struggling to be able to be rested to face the next day. And I
All right, hold
found
on right there, Misty. Hold on right there. So I think that this is a good point to talk about. So there may be a lot of people that are in that situation that you were in, that may be getting in that situation. So let's go over. We're going to deter a little bit from the show. Let's go
no
over kind
problem.
of where and how. What was the first step, right? So you're not living your authentic life. You're hiding some things. When and where. You're talking about it a little bit, so I just kind of want to hone in a little more. If someone's going through that right now, where was the trigger point where you kind of eyes open and said, that was rough, let's get through it, I can become whatever I want to be? Tell me more about that, in like that kind of, maybe it took a year or 6 months.
Yeah,
Where was that twist or
It
that?
it it was a situation where the client that hit me in the head 2 times, and that shock created 6 weeks where I couldn't eat or sleep and was having nightmares. And so I
Jesus.
literally hated my life so much. I had a wake up call that I was burying and stuffing all this emotion, and this situation took me back to my childhood when my mother would abuse me. So though I was, you know, further along in my life where I was, 37 years old, where I was emotionally, I hadn't learned skills to process that information. I was still keeping it a secret. I was still keeping the lid on it. I'm strong. I can handle this. Nobody needs to know what I went through. And yet, that very experience sent me back to memories that I could not escape. And in that space where I could not escape, as I'm laying in the middle of the night trying to wrestle with, I can't sleep, I'm so stressed, will all men always be abusive, all these things, I started replaying a phrase, and a phrase turned into creating poems to be able to calm the anxiety in my soul. So the process of me uncovering the pain inside was another traumatic experience. The way I worked through it was by actually embracing the pain and realizing there was power in the pain. I did not have to be backed into a corner with no options and no way out, which is how I felt. I felt like I'm here in a corner with no way out. I can't escape these memories. I can't escape this abuse. This is forever going to be a part of my psyche.
Wow. All right, Misty, we're going to move on to our next guest, but that was definitely very helpful. Amazing.
You're welcome. Thank you,
I hope if
Austin.
you're watching this and you connect with Missy, please go reach out to her. Please, please, please. All right, we're gonna bring out our next guest, Ben, and I'm gonna just say I'm kind of reading all your comments. There's way too many comments, but I will say that I'm already tired of cake for like a couple years.
That's a lot of
I don't,
cake, brother. That's a lot
dude.
of cake.
I'm trying to time it, and it's gonna be tough. Um,
Yes, for sure.
way
But
too
hey, let me
many
say something
comments.
first. I mean, Misty's story is so amazing. I cannot wait to connect with her again on social media and through her website to learn more. That was amazing to hear. So I'm so glad that we got to hear from you, Misty. And I'll tell you what, that was awesome.
Yeah, that I really love that poetry and social health
Mhm.
just became such an important thing. I hope that that helps a lot of people. Thank you so much, Misty.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right, Ben, let's go to you and eat more cake.
So,
Ben, who are you?
well, one of the things that I am is a person who does extended fasting. I'm on day 3 of a 40-day fast right now, watching you stuff your face with what looks like a delicious cake. So thanks a lot for that, buddy. Just kidding. No, I'm glad to be here. I'm a husband. I'm a stepdad. I'm a grandfather, an uncle, former foster parent, member, used to be a member of my dad's church until he passed away, in April.
Sorry
And
to hear that.
basically, what I do for a living is I help people either get better health insurance or pay off their mortgage a lot faster than they would have otherwise.
Oh, okay, great. Oh man. Okay. All right, Ben. Let's get to the nitty gritty here. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
trying to type and respond to thousands of comments and eat this stupid cake that all you people want me to eat. Ben, if I wanted to improve my social health with poetry, what's a simple piece of advice you would give me?
Well, if you want to improve social health, you want to be part of a community that's going to enjoy that poetry together. So you're not just by yourself, but you're enjoying that with other people.
What a great point.
Absolutely. So there's many different ways to enjoy poetry in a community setting. Um, I actually remember hearing my dad talk about this for many years. There's a lot of poetry, right there in the Bible. And being a preacher's kid, you hear a lot, right? Twice on Sunday and once on Wednesday or Thursday evenings growing up. And one of the things that he talked about a lot as a pastor's job is actually right there in Isaiah 40, verse 1, comfort my people. So that's what
Okay.
the command is to the preachers. And I've heard of preachers that don't preach comfort. They preach the brimstone and fire and hell, and you're going to hell and everything terrible is going to happen to you, which is not what it says right there in Isaiah 40, verse 1. Comfort my people, says your God. And so he approached things from that direction. And I think that there's several different ways that it helped improve the social health of that community, that small community, which is our church. And look at that cake is already halfway gone. Good job, Austin. I'm loving it. I'm living vicariously. Living vicariously through you.
No,
And
this
so-
is terrible, Ben. Don't live through this. This sucks.
I'll tell you, the
It's
reason I
hard
do-
to be a good host while you're stuffed with thousands of grams of sugar.
you're going to have a sugar coma later today. You're going to have the
Oh.
best nap of your life.
I'm gonna be gone for 2 days straight.
Oh,
I don't even
man.
like cake.
That's going to be rough then. Your digestive system is really going to be rough on you. There's no amount of poetry that can make this poetic.
I don't want this social at all. All right,
Well-
let's try to keep on topic as much as we can, even though there's 40 comments telling me to go take a swim. I don't know why. Guys, let's focus on Ben here. Come on now.
I'll tell you what, I think the best part of what we're seeing right now has something to do with what you're wearing. And I kind of want to join the party. So I would like to introduce you to my hat.
All right.
That's
FYI,
poetry in motion.
For the audience that's watching, Ben lives like in the path of Hurricane Milton, and he's just chilling on this show when he should probably be running for his life.
We
And
are
yet
fortunate.
here he is telling you about poetry and social health.
Yeah, definitely. We want to improve the entire community. It depends on what you call social health, but the overall well-being and functioning of the community that you're in is so important. And so if you've got someone leading that with poetry, and my dad would often do that just by preaching from the Bible because there's so much poetry right in there. And as a preacher's kid, I grew up, that was my first exposure to poetry. Right? And look at that cake face he's making, guys. Look at that.
I got so much more cake and I don't want to do it.
The nice thing is about poetry is it does engage people on several types of thought at the same time. The creative thought, obviously, that goes into it, but you've also got the logic, the math, because you got rhythm and patterns that you're following so that you're pushing that creativity into a pattern that makes it easier for people to follow. And depending on whether you're listening to it or reading it, it's entering your brain in a different way. Either way it doesn't matter how it enters your brain though, because either way you're getting it. It's a personal perspective of someone else that's coming into your brain in a way that lowers resistance. It's not somebody challenging you necessarily every time. This is something where you get to hear someone else's thoughts in your own head, and allows you to communicate emotions on such a personal level that you can affect people so well with poetry. And that right there, I think, makes social health so much better.
Ben, have you ever been to a poetry slam, poetry jam?
Not a full one, no. I think anything that I would have been to, I would have been exposed to during my college years about 20, 25 years ago.
You should check one out soon. Check one out.
I probably
All right,
enjoy it a
Ben.
lot.
Yeah, they're awesome. I go probably every other monthish. All right, Ben,
Nice.
we're going to move on to our last guest. We'll bring you back out in the round robin. We have Melissa. Melissa, who are you?
Hello. Hello. So, Melissa Whiteford St. Clair. I'm an entrepreneur, a poet, an advocate, a military spouse, a virtual assistant by day, a
Okay.
lifelong learner, an only child, a child of
Ooh,
God, and I am very happy to be a guest on Millionaires Are Made show today, especially the 100th episode. Forks up.
worst episode ever. All right, Melissa, if I wanted to improve my social health with poetry, what simple piece of advice would you give me?
So, my best tip for people wishing to grow their social health through poetry is tell somebody. Tell somebody that you're writing poetry, that you're
What a great
using
idea.
poetry. Kind of spinning off of what Ben said, as a way to build community. As a military spouse moving around, I had to build community really quickly at every duty station. So finding those common threads.
Did you use
But
poetry?
I am new to poetry.
Okay.
It happened to me in 2020 when I felt a strong call to social justice. So I started a course and learning and unlearning, asking hard questions, doing deep dives. A godsend came poetry to process all of those thoughts and emotions. And so I say, I was 50 years on mute, and poetry has helped me to find my voice. So,
Nice. Okay. Awesome. So you producing poems now? Are you publishing them publicly?
yes. So I have two books of poetry. Truly, my homework. A collection of poems sparked by one white woman's journey on the matter of race. And then the second one, Heartwork, a heart centered collection of poems. So this white girl is sharing her homework. Truly, totally
I love it.
unexpected.
Good. Good. I like that. Oh man, I can't think too well. Melissa, where on your tell us you were going over this a little bit. Let's go over your life journey. Where on your life journey did you learn this information?
So in 2020, during the pandemic, everybody's locked down, and then you see this video of George Floyd. So that is my catalyst. I had to do something. And so I enrolled in a course on the matter of race. And through that, just learning about systems and processes and people's experiences that have been different than mine, and wrestling being the descendant of a slaveholder. So this work is very deep and very heartfelt for me.
Awesome. So you have two published books. Is that correct?
Two published books, yes. Homework and Heartwork.
And when were they published?
So, Harriet Tubman is a lamp to my path. She is a shero, and also a native Marylander. I am from the great state of Maryland. So she is an important figure to me. So the first book was published on Harriet Tubman Day, March 10th of 2021. And then I like a theme, so Heartwork was published on Valentine's Day a couple of years later. So the first book contains 6 months worth of work, deep dive into the course on the matter of race. And then the second book contains more of that, and then some lighthearted poems, and then other matters of the heart.
Awesome, wonderful. It sounds like poetry has definitely changed your life.
Totally, totally has changed my life.
So
Yes.
you said you have a couple jobs. Are you looking to have poetry be your main income producer?
Uh, it seems to be taking over. So, as a virtual assistant, used to working remote, used to working behind the scenes, so poetry is a total 180 or 360, coming out from behind the curtain to the mic and presenting, my heart and my brain out there. So yes, it is so important to me, the work and the process of poetry, that I am speaking, doing workshops, and I do also have a workbook called White Girl Homework that people can use to process on their own or use it as a classwork.
Awesome, I love it. All right, Melissa, we're gonna bring Misty and Ben back out, and I'm gonna try to focus on eating the last little bit of this cake. Can't believe I'm this far along. Oh, can
Go,
we bring Ben
Ben.
out too?
Go listen, Austin. Celebrating 100.
Where we're at now.
100. Oh,
Getting close, feeling worse. Where's Ben?
He had a hard stop. He said, I don't know if we're there or
He's
not.
still there.
or it could be the storm.
Hi,
There
Ben.
he is. Hey, there he is.
It was the cake. I was getting type 2 diabetes over here just looking at it.
Yo, if I get diabetes off this, I'm gonna be so pissed. You get diabetes off of one day? How much sugar is it? Someone researched that. How much sugar is required in one day to get diabetes? Oh my god. Oh, that
It's,
actually frightens
yeah.
me a
Keep
little bit.
chasing it with the milk. It should balance out.
Something like that. I'll take those words of encouragement. All right, let's keep going on this show. What do we do next? Let's think. Misty, can you quickly refresh what your tip was? My god.
My tip was to face the emotion that you're experiencing and share it through poetry with your circle. So I began writing poems on social media and sharing my heart and the thoughts and feelings and emotion that was going on inside of me with the words, because there's power in my words. So here's a, if you'd like, here's an example. I won't read the whole poem, but it starts with, listen to the energy that flows from your heart. Quit trying to navigate it with the brain for start. Listen to the energy that your heart yet sings, for it is the music to beautiful things. Listen to your heart and let it talk. You'll learn a lot about the next steps on your walk. Listen to your heart and trust your soul, for God will not lead you the wrong direction, bro. Listen to your heart and give it space. This energy should be kept in one place. Listen to your heart and give it deep love, for it is the lifeline to the rest of the hub. And that's about half of it. But it gives you the idea that if you connect to that energy and listen to your heart and share what you're feeling with descriptive words, people will connect to you. They will learn you, they will know you, they will like you, they will relate to you. And through every depth of connection in social field, whether it's online or offline, our emotion and the power of our words connects us.
That is amazing. Do you ever go to poetry slams and share that?
I have not. I've only shared my poems probably over 250 on social media since I began writing them in 2016.
That is awesome. So I have someone I'm going to connect to you, Melissa and Misty. I met her at a tinier island, surprise, surprise, of only like 5,000. Just ran into her. It's called. She was at the Gorda Bass, which was just kind of like a wonder of the Caribbean. And she's been published once. Oh my god, her poem was insane. She just like ran into me while I was eating and ready to leave. And so I'm working with her on how she wants to build it and do whatever. I'm going to connect with you guys. It's going to be awesome.
Would
That's
love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I could think about. So yeah, you guys, I think you guys will connect with her really well. She's trying to obviously get her poetry out and hopefully build some revenue off it. So should be fun. Won't connect you with Ben because you smell. All right. So I don't think my mind is working right. Yeah, now you're better. Thank you. All right. Dude, this is a lot of cake. Oh wait, how much time do I think I'm actually gonna do it? Wow, I did not. As I started eating, when I was about a third of the way through, I was like, "There's no way I'm doing this. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it." Okay.
Go,
All right.
Austin, go. We're cheering you on. Go, Austin, go.
All right. Let's discuss Misty's tip. You guys do that. Misty, quickly refresh what your tip is. Let's do this.
My tip is to use the emotion that you're feeling inside and find the words to share it.
Okay, I'm gonna respond to that. One thing about poetry, I mean, it's almost like journaling. Getting your thoughts down and out is amazing. Also, poetry does not have to rhyme, I have learned. Although my poetry does. I've written one poem, wrote it about a month ago. But it's kind of cool. So we did a poetry, I think it was mental health episode a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago. One of our daily challenge was awesome. It was write a poem, a positive poem, and leave it in a public space. What a fun challenge that was. Because then you can kind of do it anonymous. I think a lot of people get this fear with poetry of it not being good enough or this or that, but I just want to throw out there, you don't have to share your poetry. You can write it and keep it to yourself. It doesn't have to go public. It should. You might be able to, change some people's days with it, but it doesn't have to be public. Okay, anyways. Ben, what are your thoughts on Misty's tip?
Can't hear you, Ben. You're muted.
Muted, Ben.
Might be the storm.
It knocked out his microphone. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Misty's tip?
So bringing the emotion, yes. I mean, to have the use of poetry as a processing mechanism, that is huge for me. My creativity can be sparked by a meme that I see or a movie that I watch or historical figure like Harriet Tubman. And I just never know where it might come from. And so emotions, writing it down, definitely.
Awesome. Ben, are you with us now? No, you're not. Nope. All right, Melissa, what's your tip? Audience, feel free to ask us questions now, too. We could definitely use that while I try to finish this cake. Melissa, can you quickly refresh what your tip was?
Sure, absolutely. My best tip for people wanting poetry is to tell somebody, share with somebody that you are writing poetry and how you're using it. It's a great conversation starter and a great way to build community.
And you don't even have to tell your poem. You can just tell them that you are writing a poem, right?
Exactly. Yes. And like you said, throw out all the judgment about what you are writing. Just get it out. Oh,
I agree, Melissa.
congratulations.
I think that's what hinders most people in any writing form, whether it's in journaling or a poem or sharing their opinion or how their day is or anything on a social media platform, Austin. I think the fear of rejection, the fear of what people are going to think about me. And if we're going to overcome the social influences around us and be a stronger connected society, we've got to not have that fear, to remove our mask and expose the pain inside and the emotion to be able to transform it. The actual act of embracing and acknowledging and accepting what we're feeling inside, no matter what anybody else thinks around us, allows us to be open, real, raw, and vulnerable, which is critical to be transparent in any relationship.
Absolutely. That vulnerability.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me this time?
Yeah, tell us.
Yes, you're on.
I know what happened and I got it fixed. So no big deal. It's just a little tech problem. I was going to say anything that you can do to build that know, like, and trust factor, whether it's through poetry or any other type of writing, it's so valuable these days because social media is where we tend to meet people and do business now. So having that know, like, and trust factor, like Misty is building through poetry, is amazing. I love that.
All right, guys. I'm over this cake thing. Let's do this daily challenge and wrap this up. We got to come up with a daily challenge. It has to be a task that improves your social health with poetry. It takes less than 5 minutes a day. It costs $0, and it must be available to everyone from Kenya to the Philippines. What ideas do you have?
Misty and Melissa, what do you think about asking people to kind of band together and make their own community for sharing poetry with each other?
Oh, I like that. Coming together as a collective. Yes.
Mhm.
Great idea.
How are we going to do that in 5 minutes a day?
Social media could be that you meet up at work, after work, grabbing beers or coffees or whatever. Call your friend. Hey,
Or
we'll
even
meet up.
or even creating a group chat thread where you all share your poem at the end of the day and be accountable to each other. I think taking 30 days to spend 5 minutes to collect your thoughts and create a poem. A poem doesn't have to be, like the one that I recited a little bit ago was about half of it. It doesn't have to be a long poem. My very first poem I ever wrote was 2 paragraphs. So it's more the fact of sit with what is the message inside of you today that wants to be shared. What are the words that want to come out of you? How could you use those words to connect with Ben or Melissa or Austin to establish a stronger relationship? What's a topic burning on your soul for 30 days you want to try to write every day about for 5 minutes?
Writing a poem and yeah, writing a poem. All right, Ben, we'll see you later. So we got writing a poem and we've got finding people. So I think maybe we should, part of the challenge could be find someone each day that has written a poem. Does that sound like a good part?
I think that's getting people to write it. I think Austin is what Melissa and I would love to see people do. But if they are unfamiliar with poetry and feel that they want to know a little bit more about it or to be able to connect to it, to find their own words, even to read a poem every day for 30 days
Okay.
and connect to the
I like
emotion
that.
and what did you learn from it. And then maybe that would inspire them to write their own. I think that the fear of being able to craft their own words connected to their thoughts, that in itself is already a huge task people struggle with journaling, let alone a poem. So I think maybe just introducing to go read a poem that stirs you and then reflect on what did I learn from that? What emotion did I feel? How would this connect me to people around me and know them better or relate to them better or more deeply? And how am I willing to show up and express this same emotion back?
I
I
like
like
that.
that
All right. So
too. Yes, and even
yeah, go
even
ahead,
taking
Melissa.
that poem, I was going to say maybe even taking that poem and write one more line. Add your line to it.
Ooh,
Why not?
that's a creative one. Because then you can even share it with whoever the author was, or I mean, you
Mhm.
could share it publicly if you want and get that social health going. Um, I mean, yeah, that's kind of hard. I was gonna say we could even, because you don't even have to write poetry to enjoy it and use it. I like writing an extra line. I think that's cool. Write a poem, find a poem, and then you write the next line on it.
Mhm.
Maybe we can add a tiny bit more. Maybe we, how do we connect more people with poetry? Do we like
Mm.
add one friend?
Well, you could also where every person make a poem where every person adds a line to it and
Oh,
keep it continuous, kind of like that, game that you play where you tell a story and each person adds a line to it. Do it with poetry. Somebody start a line and you send it around and add to it.
that's awesome. We could even do that in our group. We could do it in our Millionaires Are Made group. Just start it, and we could all just keep adding every day a new line. That's fantastic.
That's awesome. And I understand from a workshop that I have been in, Japanese culture used to do that socially. So they would, be in their group, their social group, and create haikus, 575, and then maybe 77, add the tanka part. But finishing each other's sentences, really creating the next line. So it's already out there. The precedent is set.
Awesome. I think that's a great daily challenge. Anything else you guys want to add? I think adding a line and adding a friend from there definitely will build yourself a little poetry culture, little poetry group, little niche.
Yes.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap up this episode. Then we did what we were supposed to. Thank you guys so much for being on the show and watching.
Thank you for having us.
And so we are officially done with our 100th episode. We have our daily challenge. It's going to be read a new poem and then write your reflection and then add a line to the poem in our group. We will be starting a 1 line a day. We'll challenge our guests as well as all of you to come in and add a line each day to make a really awesome, cool group poem. Also, we want you to add a friend that likes poetry or find a friend you currently have that likes poetry. Okay, so let's wrap this up. This is where my cake is now. I think I have like 3 more bites, so we're going to just smash those real quick. Fucking stupid. All right, done with the cake. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you had a great time.